So I've got one more weird bollocks story for you. I was in a car accident once and it left me in hospital for a year. And most of that year was spent lying on my back in a hospital bed. Now the hospital was a Catholic hospital, and so a lot of the staff were nuns. There was normal nurses and doctors and things like that, but there were a lot of nuns that were on the staff. And I got to know them all pretty well because I was there for a good period of time. So I got to know everybody. And by the way, don't let anybody tell you that nuns are dried up old cows with no sense of humor. Nuns are cool. These nuns lent me comics. These nuns wheeled in a TV and a VCR player, and we watched Star Wars. These nuns knew dirty jokes, and they were shocking pranksters. They loved taking the mickey out of things. But this weird bollock story does involve a nun. One morning I was lying on my bed. It was pretty early in the morning. There was a knock on the door and a nun poked her head around, and it was a nun that I didn't know. I hadn't seen her around before, and she was wearing slightly different garb, you know, from all the other nuns. But she came in, she asked how I was doing, she introduced herself as Sister Gretchen, and we chatted for a bit, and then she asked if she could say a little prayer, and yeah, go for it, Dave. And so she sat on the bed next to me and she held my hand and she said her prayer, and then she got up and she said goodbye and she left, and that was that. And not long after that, there's another knock on the door and another nun came in, and this was one of the nuns that I recognized, and I said to her, man, I must have the big fella smiling down on me today. This is the second visit I've got from a nun, and it's not even lunchtime yet. And the nun kind of laughed a little bit puzzled, and she said, what do you mean? So I said, well, I've just had a visit from Sister Gretchen, and now you're here to see me too. And she said, we don't have a Sister Gretchen on the staff. So I said, no, she was just here. She came in, she sat down, and you know, we chatted for a bit, and yeah, she said a little prayer, and I pointed on the bed where you could see where she had been sitting. And she said, no, I'm the only nun on the floor at the moment. So then she asked me what the nun had been wearing, and I told her, and then she went off. I thought, well, that's weird bollocks, eh? Then a couple of hours later, she came back and she had a book with her, which was a history of the hospital. And she flipped through the pages until she got to a photo of a group of nuns standing outside the front of the hospital, dressed in the same sort of outfit that Sister Gretchen had been wearing. And I looked at the date, and it was dated from the 40s. There was no Sister Gretchen in the photo, by the way, but it was nuns dressed in the habits that they used at the time. And this nun told me that they had had a number of patients over the years report being visited by a nun that is not part of the normal staff. And their description matched mine exactly. So, now that was some weird bollocks. Weird bollocks indeed. Love you.